the verses that lead up to our scriptural text for today, we discover that Jesus has just finished ministering in Judea amongst his own people. After ministering to them, Jesus summed up his ministry amongst his own people by saying that a prophet has no honor in his own country. As the result of his own people's lack of faith and failure to believe, miracles didn't take place. Freedom did not take place. Deliverance could not happen. And the supernatural move of God was stifled. But now, Jesus is on his way to Cana of Galilee. This was a city in which he performed his first recorded miracle, the turning of water into wine. And after arriving in Cana, the word quickly spread that Jesus was in town. The word of Jesus' presence in Cana spread 20 miles to the city of Capernaum. And there in Capernaum was a desperate man. A desperate man that had a desperate need. This man in Capernaum was in need of a miracle. This man's name is not given to us, but all we are told is that he was a man with authority. He was an official. He was a ruler. He was referred to as a nobleman. This man had a child, a son, in fact, who was gravely sick and needed a miracle. When this ruler, this nobleman, heard that Jesus was in Canaan, the Bible tells us that he left home, which was Capernaum, and traveled to Cana seeking Jesus. My brothers and sisters, this brings me to my first point today. And that first point I want to share with you is, if you need a miracle, make sure you go to the right source to get one. Wait a minute, y'all looking at me kind of. I said, if you need a miracle, if you need a miraculous move of God, make sure that you go to the right source to get it. And I suggest to you There's only one source, and that's Jesus the Christ. Now, because I'm in a church crowd this morning, this point may seem too elementary, may seem too obvious in a church crowd. But there are many people who need a miracle, who go everywhere and to everyone but Jesus. In our world today, people will go to the wrong source looking for a miraculous move. Some, even maybe some here today, have gone to the root worker looking for a miracle. Oh, come on in here now. Somebody has gone to friends, family. Some of us consult with Dr. Phil and Steve Harvey every day before they consider going to Jesus. Nothing's wrong with Phil and nothing's wrong with Steve. They're able to give good advice. But I suggest that they don't have miracle working power. It's interesting, deacons, to note that the man in our text for today is described as a royal official, a ruler, a nobleman, a powerful person. He is most likely a Roman official who was overseeing that area of Galilee in some legal capacity. According to Roman law, Fred, he would have had authority even over Jesus, who was in his jurisdiction. But even though this man had power and had authority, when he showed up in Cana, he did not show up giving orders. He did not show up throwing his weight around. He came to Jesus in humility. He was a ruler, he was a nobleman, he was a big shot, if you will. But he humbled himself and came to Jesus. You know, brothers and sisters, there are many people in need of a miracle. But they do not come to Jesus because they realize that they have to humble themselves to come. They have to admit that they cannot do it all by themselves. They have to admit that they have a need that they don't have the resources to meet. And that is hard for some people to do. Some of us, as long as we could come to Jesus with our chest out, standing tall, standing proud, we'd be all right coming to Jesus. But when we have to come with our heads bowed, when we have to come showing that we need him, some of us refuse to do it. But this man, this ruler, this nobleman, he forgot about his title. He forgot about his authority and humbly came to Jesus. And if, my brothers and sisters, if we're going to receive the miracle that we need in our lives, we too must humble ourselves and come to Jesus. Lean over and tell your neighbor, humble yourself. Well, the second point that I want to share with you today from this passage is that if you need a miracle, you have to learn how to overcome the obstacles that show up, block, hinder you from receiving the miracle you need. Let me say that again. If you need a miracle, you have to learn how to overcome the obstacles that appear or show up. When they show up, they come to block or hinder you from receiving the miracle you need. But you must learn how to overcome the obstacle. Lean over and tell your neighbor, learn how to overcome your obstacles. What obstacles, Pastor Wood, did this man in the text have to overcome in order to receive the miracle that he needed? Let me suggest 4 obstacles this man had to overcome. The first obstacle he had to overcome was the obstacle of distance.
That's right, preacher. That's right.
Remember, Capernaum was 20 miles away from Canaan. And in order for this man to have the one-on-one with Jesus, he had to travel. He had to travel a distance. Even though distance is an obstacle, this brother, this man, this ruler did not allow the obstacle of distance to keep him from his miracle. Now, y'all know if that was some of us, when we heard that Jesus was 20 miles away, we would have said, well, I'll wait till he get a little closer.
That's right, preacher.
That's too far to travel. Lord have mercy. But this brother did not allow distance to become an obstacle in his way. Not only did this brother not allow distance, he did not allow the obstacle of who he was to get in the way of his miracle. This guy was a ruler. He was powerful. Guess what? He was well known in the area. Had a title. But in this case, he needed a miracle so much that he was willing to put his titles on the shelf, if you will. He was willing to let people know, listen, even though I might be the ruler, I have a need just like you have a need. And just like you need Jesus, I need Jesus. Some of us in here today, the reason why we have not received our miracle is because we're too proud. Can I talk to y'all in here? We're too proud to admit the fact that we need the Lord. We're educated, we have big jobs and make a lot of money, live in the big house on the hill. All that's wonderful. But when your stuff becomes more important, when your title becomes more important than the Christ, then your life is in trouble. This ruler got over the obstacle of being known. In other words, he said, I don't care who sees me. I don't care who knows me. I need a miracle, and so I'm willing to do what I have to do in order to receive my miracle. Lean over and tell you that I ain't ashamed. I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ because it is the power of God unto salvation to those who believe. That's the reason why every now and then I may come to church and you might think I've lost my mind. I might not act like a person with the education and the degrees and the money that I might not act like society says I should act. Because sometimes when I think of the goodness of Jesus and all he's done for me, I can't help but sometimes shout hallelujah. Sometimes I might jump to my feet, clap my hands, might even do a little dance. Lean up and tell somebody God's been too good to me. Yeah, I sometimes who I am doesn't matter. You have to overcome the obstacle of who you are, being known. But then this brother also had to overcome the obstacle of possibly being rejected. What if he got there and Jesus would have said no? He had to face the obstacle of dealing with being rejected. You know that there are a lot of us who don't even seek after miracles because we don't seek, because we fear rejection. If you don't believe that God is able to perform the miracle, then why ask? If you don't believe that God is able to change people, oh, come on now, then why ask? Listen, I'm keeping you too long. I'm keeping you too long. This brother had to overcome the obstacle of distance, the obstacle of being known, the obstacle of rejection. But then, number 4, this brother had to overcome another obstacle that was placed before him. Now, this is a peculiar obstacle. After the brother comes to Jesus and says, I need you to heal my son. Verse 48, Jesus responds to the brother's request by saying, unless you people see miraculous signs and wonders, you will never believe. Wait a minute now. This man just falls before the Lord and says, look, my son needs to be healed. He's gravely sick. And then Jesus responds to him, look, unless you people see miraculous signs and wonders, you will never believe. Some of us, we will adopt an attitude. Who Jesus? Who he talking to? Don't he know who I am? I'm the ruler. I'm the nobleman. I'm the ruler. How dare he talk to me like that? But notice, this ruler is not fazed at all by the words of Jesus. You know why? He's so focused and determined to get a miracle for his son that the obstacle of lack of belief that Jesus lifted before him did not cause him to lose hope. He turns around to Jesus and said, well, sir, come down before my child dies. In other words, he did not allow the obstacle of lack of faith to deter him from making his request. I know, Jesus, you said, unless these people see miraculous signs and wonders, you'll never believe. I heard you, but I ain't thinking about that. My son needs you. Come on, Jesus. Come down before my boy dies. Deacons, why does Jesus seemingly make it more difficult for this man to receive a miracle? Why does it seem that Jesus is placing an obstacle before the man, which would hinder him from getting the miracle that he needed? Now, y'all know this ain't the first time that Jesus has done something like this. Remember in Matthew chapter 15, verse 23 to 28? Remember when that Canaanite woman came to Jesus begging him to heal her daughter? And Jesus' initial response was that he didn't even say a word. But she continued to press him with her request. And then Jesus says to her, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. It's not right to take the children's bread and toss it to dogs. Y'all remember that? But the woman climbed over the obstacle that Jesus had put before her and said, yes, Lord, but even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. Y'all remember that? Then Jesus said to the woman, woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted. And the Bible said that her daughter was healed from that very hour. Let me come back. Let me come back and answer the question I asked. Why would Jesus place an obstacle before the woman and now this man in our text for today? Here's the answer. Because Jesus wanted them to put forth some effort. Lean over to your neighbor and say, put some effort forward. A faith that requires no faith, no effort, is a faith not worth having. Let me say it again. A faith that requires no effort is a faith not worth having. When Jesus stretches us, anybody ever been stretched by Jesus? It forces us to grow. We grow by overcoming doubts and disappointments. We grow when we believe in spite of the fact that it's difficult to believe. What if the Canaanite woman had given up when Jesus did not appear to be interested in helping her? What if this Roman official had taken Jesus' words as a rebuke and walked away angry and bitter? I'll tell you what would have happened. They would have never received the miracle that they needed from Jesus. And listen to me good. There will come those times in your life when it seems like everything is going bad, and you begin to wonder why God does not immediately answer your prayer. It will seem like he's turning a deaf ear to you. Anybody ever feel that way? You wonder if he still loves you. You wonder at times if he's still interested in your welfare. But if you push through, lean over and tell your neighbor, push through. If you push through those times and do not lose heart, let me tell you what will happen. Your faith will grow. We have to learn how to push through the obstacles that are placed before us in order for our miracles to take place. Okay. All right, this is it. Last point. This is the last point. Get out of your way. The last point that I want to share with you today, that if you need a miracle, if you need a miracle, you've got to learn how to take Jesus at his word. The Bible says when Jesus saw the faith of the ruler, what did I just say? When Jesus saw the faith of the ruler and his determination to have his miracle materialize, Jesus says to him, you may go. Your son will live. Verse 50 of the text says that the man took Jesus at his word and departed. This brother here in this text, as far as I'm concerned, ought to be celebrated. Why? Because he took Jesus at his word. And to be completely honest with you, my brothers and sisters, sometimes in my life, I still struggle with taking Jesus at his word. Did y'all hear what I said? I still struggle at times with taking Jesus at his word. And look, I know what Jesus has said. I know what his word teaches. But Fred, I failed to take him still at his words. Sometimes I act like I believe my own word over his. And sometimes I find myself taking the words of others over his word. There are times that I ignore his word, and also times that I pretend that I don't hear or know his word. Sometimes I pretend that it does not apply to my circumstances and my situation. Since some of y'all won't be honest, I'll be honest for you. I struggle with keeping his word and taking him at it. And I'm not the only one here today with that testimony. Am I right about it? But this man in our text had no reason to believe that what Jesus had said was in fact true. All Jesus said to the man was go. Your son lives. That man had no reason to believe that his son had received the miracle that he requested. You see, usually Jesus healed by laying his hands on someone. But this man's son would not be touched. Jesus was not going in to that person's house and lay his hand on his son. But this man believed without anything to prop up his faith. And this is the dilemma of faith. when we are asked to believe God for a miracle before there's any evidence that what he has promised will happen. Wait a minute. This is the way the scripture says. Faith, now faith, is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. In other words, faith means even though I can't see it, I believe it if God says it. This man did not insist on God providing any evidence or any proof before he would believe. He just took Jesus at his word. And notice what happened as a result. The Bible tells us that as the man was on his way home, before he could get to the house, that his servants met him with the news that his son was not only alive, but his son was now completely well. I don't know about you, but I need and I'm trying to learn how to take Jesus at his word. You see, if I learn how to take Jesus at his word, I wouldn't spend as much time as I do worrying over stuff that Jesus has already taken care of. How many of us have spent days and nights worrying over stuff that Jesus had already taken care of? And if we would have just trusted him and believed his word, we would have had restful nights and less anxious days. But I don't know about you, I'm glad that I serve a God who is able to take my situations and take my circumstances and work them out for his own glory. I don't know why you and I wrestle at times with taking Jesus at his word. For his word has so much in it to offer to us. His word will offer mercy to those who are miserable. His word will offer grace to those who are guilty. His word will provide freedom to those who are fugitives. His word will give salvation to the sinner. His word will provide us counsel when we are confused. His word will give victory to those of us who have been victimized by the devil. And I'm so glad that his word will offer blessings to those who are burdened. I don't know about you, but I've learned in my life that if I go to Jesus and let him know what I stand in need of, that he will, I said he will provide what I need. If I need a miracle, I can go to him and say, Jesus, I need a miracle. I recognize that I can't handle this in my own power. But if I let you show up and show off, you'll send the miracle that I need in my life. And when you send the miracle, all I can do is say thank you. Thank you. I said thank you. Anybody in here want to say thank you for the miracle that the Lord has provided in your life? Thank you. Come on, stand to your feet. Stand to your feet. Grab your neighbor by the hand and say, I need a miracle.
I need a miracle. I need a miracle.
And you know what the interesting thing about it is? God already knows what you need.
That's right. You already know what you need. Yes, sir.
And because he already knows, oh man, speak it in faith. Because he already knows the miracle you need, the miracle is already on the way. Some of us, our miracle is right around the corner.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But guess what? Guess what? It'll stay around the corner until you get ready to receive it. Some of the miracles that some of us have been asking God for, God said, I'll give it to you when you get ready for it. Because for some of us, if God released the miracle that we need right now, it's going to make us go crazy.
That's right, preacher.
We won't be able to handle it. But because he knows everything, he knows where we are. He said, all right, I know you need a miracle, but when you position yourself to get ready for it, to receive it, then I'll bestow it unto you. You know what, deacons? I'm so glad that everything that I asked God for, that he did not release it directly to me. Because see, I'm telling y'all, if I'd have won that $500 million lottery, look at, see, I want to be, look at y'all, look at y'all, look at y'all, look at y'all, look at y'all. I might be at the beach, at my beach house, Come on now. Come on, tell the truth. Come on, tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. But I'm glad. I'm glad that he hasn't released everything. And there's some of the things I've asked for, I know are his will.
That's right.
But I've got to get myself in the position and get myself in order to receive it. And God said, I ain't going to release it to you, Wood, until you get yourself ready.
That's right.
To receive the miracle. Somebody in here needs a miracle today. Somebody needs the miracle of salvation. You need your life changed. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth on him shall not perish, but have everlasting life.